Guys, so I'm loving the build-up to Haye versus Bellew. I'm thinking the build-up is probably going to be considerably better than the fight itself, but nevertheless, I'm loving the build-up. I did a video a day ago reviewing The Gloves Are Off. Sorry, reviewing Behind the Ropes. That went up on the channel a day ago. It's got about 2,000 views on it in the first day, so massive thanks to everyone who checked that video out, and it's clearly generating some interest, the Bellew versus Haye chat. I've also just checked out my good friend Ultratech Sports channel, because he's put up a very, very entertaining video on the press conference today between Haye and Bellew. So for you guys, I know a lot of my subscribers already check out his channel, but check out Ultratech Sports Raw. So Ultratech Sports, all one word, Raw, R-A-W, second word. Check his channel out, because there's some, one of the, in my opinion, actually the best channel on YouTube. Anyway, stop kissing his arse and I'll get on to my own video now. First and foremost, in this video, we're going to spend 2 or 3 minutes discussing The Gloves Are Off, which was broadcast with Johnny Nelson, having both guys around the table. Then we're going to discuss this press conference today. If we get enough time, we'll discuss the Haye Davies as well. So, Gloves Are Off. For my money, not the most riveting episode. David Haye didn't really take the bait. Team Bellew, and obviously it was Tony Bellew in particular, appeared to my eye to be doing his very, very best to sell the fight. He kept bringing up these intangibles, this sparring session that happened 15 years ago. Then he brought up the fact that David Haye didn't have a dogfight in him, and that he hadn't had a dogfight since he fought John Mark Mormec. Tony Bellew brought up the Carl Thompson loss. He went on about Carl Thompson for a while. Tony Bellew had a look at Arnold Jar Jar and Mark Damori, and tried to discredit those wins, which, to be fair, are fairly discredited, but there you go. But what I'm getting at is every single angle under the sun was used to try and sell this, to try and make it out like this was a competitive fight. All of these doubts were brought up about David Haye, that he hasn't had a real fight for so long, and he hasn't been taken late in a fight, and he doesn't have a dogfight in him, and Bellew found him out in sparring, and David Haye really, really didn't rise to it. David Haye very, very much under the impression that this was going to be completely easy work, and that he was going to have far, far too much for Tony Bellew. I enjoy the David Haye heel character. I enjoy the pure arrogance and ego that comes from David Haye, where he is quite literally, clearly believing that he is going to sort Tony Bellew in a matter of seconds. We've seen David Haye, I'm not sure I've seen David Haye this confident in the lead up to a fight before. Maybe the Audley Harrison fight is one that, is reminiscent. Where he famously said the fight is going to be as one-sided as a gang rape. But this, Gloves Are Off. David Haye, for me, kept his cool. He was very much in the driving seat, and you really got the impression that Tony Bellew was kind of clutching at straws, trying to bring up things from decades ago, or trying to analyse Mark Damori's resume to try and come up with a tangible argument as to why this was a competitive fight. I know at no stage did Tony Bellew necessarily say, I think I'm going to win this fight because I've got a better jab than you, or I think I'm going to win this fight because I throw combinations better than you, or I'm faster than you. And so many times when you actually found Tony Bellew crediting David Haye, going, no, you are a very good fighter. No, you are really fast. No, you have beaten heavyweights, etc. It was I think David Haye won that one on points. The press conference today was another matter altogether. The Liverpool fans were extremely aggressive, extremely loud, very vocal. Lots of heckling and lots of disrespect to the London fighters, David Haye and Haye Davies, when they were speaking. Now, my perception is that David Haye is a guy who takes himself extremely seriously. He's a guy who believes the public love him, He's a guy who believes the perception is that he's one of the top heavyweights in the world. He's a guy who believes that he is a serious, serious sporting superstar. And I view David Haye as a massive ego. And wherever it was that he just didn't like and didn't feel comfortable with all of these scousers hurling abuse at him and his trainer, I don't know. But David Haye legit lost his cool in this press conference. You know, I saw Ultratech Sports video on this. He was saying that David Haye completely lost his rag. And you know what? I completely agree with him. David Haye really did lose his rag. Bellew got under his skin today. And whether it was anything that Bellew was saying, whether it was to do with the suggestion that David Haye had hurt his shoulder, you know, and wasn't recovered or was getting old, etc., I'm not so sure. You know, I can't neatly attribute it to anything like that. I think it's more that David Haye, the ego, didn't like going to Liverpool, didn't like being heckled, didn't like being, you know, laughed at and having people screaming abuse at him when he was trying to speak. But yeah, he properly lost his rag. You know, he was swearing, he was threatening all sorts of damage on Tony Bellew. You know, he was properly. I'm sure you guys have all watched the footage now, but he was like in Bellew, you know, screaming at Bellew how he was gonna stick his effing hand through his effing head, and you know, it was all getting very hot, whatever it is, very heated. Let's put it that way. Bellew, you know, he does this character of stop swearing, David, there are kids watching, you know, and that's very disingenuous, very fake, because, you know, when Bellew wants, he'll let his motor mouth run off as well. You know, but David Haye, the heel character, has done the remarkable and actually turned Tony Bellew into the sort of the popular character out of the two. You know, whether this makes any difference to what goes down on fight night, I'm not so sure. I just think David Haye is so many levels above Tony Bellew in this fight that I'm not sure, like, the psychology and the state of mind's actually come into it. I just think that the gap is really vast, and that probably David Haye could well take Bellew out in the very first round. But this isn't a fight prediction video. This is more analysing the press conference. You know, Haye Davies was fighting Derry Matthews, and it was very similar treatment. And you know, some of the comments today made by Haye Davies and David Haye, I wouldn't be surprised if they get picked up on them by the boxing board, because you know, Haye Davies was screaming. You know, he was screaming like, "You're a load of see you next Tuesdays on." £7 an hour, or like, you know, you guys are on minimum wage and you're paying for me to get my payday. You know, it was all of this sort of stuff, and I think Haye Davies is trying to model himself on like an Adrian Broner type, and he's trying to, you know, get notorious by playing the sort of comedy villain, etc. And I don't mind all of that stuff, but you know, you talk about the image of boxing, and you know, boxing traditionally, I guess you'd say, it's a working man's sport, and Haye Davies standing there in his three-piece suit, you know, ranting how the fans are all earning minimum wage, probably won't go down too well with the board. And you know, David Haye took it a step further actually, and was yelling that the crowd were retards, and yelling that the crowd would need to look after Tony Bellew after he smashed his head in. You know, it was very borderline stuff. Me personally, I've always said on this channel, long-time viewers will know, I actually do enjoy the WWE element of this game. I really do. And it gets me hyped for a fight. And I've got to say, Bellew versus Haye has never been a fight that I've been excited for. You know, I'm a massive David Haye fan. I'll watch any fight David Haye's in, and I always will do. But Bellew versus David Haye, you know, I've not been sitting at home thinking, bloody hell, can't wait for that fight. You know, that's going to be a proper scrap. But, you know, I've got to say, having watched the press conference today, I am more excited for it. And that will build throughout the course of the week, won't it? You've got the weigh-ins, you've got the public workouts. I believe there's another press conference in London on Thursday. And yeah, it's going to build. It's going to build. Haye Davies versus Derry Matthews. It's actually a similar sort of, you know, it's kind of, I look at it in a similar sense. Not a fight that I necessarily see as competitive. Not as wide as Bellew versus Haye, but nevertheless pretty wide in favour of Haye Davies. But again, the sort of heat and the build-up and the antics today is, you know, making it more enthralling and something that I'm more and more buzzing for. So let me know your thoughts, guys. So far, Behind the Ropes, I found relatively funny. You know, Gloves Are Off, I thought was slightly uninspiring. The press conference today, a bit awkward, a bit uncomfortable at times, but there's legit bad feeling there. And I do believe that Tony Bellew is under David Haye's skin, or I believe David Haye is absolutely raging. My take is it's the ego of David Haye being heckled and spoken over, and, you know, having the fans against him. But, you know, let's see. Regardless of whether it has any impact on Saturday night when the bell actually rings, it makes for entertaining viewing, you know, and it's a story within itself. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do let me know your take on any of the stuff we've discussed in this video. If you've enjoyed it, please take the time to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, please press subscribe. We'll be doing a hell of a lot of coverage of this fight over the course of the weekend, perhaps at the weigh-in, press conferences, public workouts, etc. So if you like the build-up, press subscribe so you can check out all my other stuff later on in the week. Many thanks indeed for tuning in, people. Appreciate it.